Hey guys, Ben here from Velflex. Now, I'm going to help you today to really understand when to use which transfer in your business to make sure that you're choosing the right one to make the most profit within the order that you're supplying to the customer. So let's talk about business success. It's absolutely buying the right product at the right time for the right design, the right quantity, etc. Now, as far as we've got three main transfers that we manufacture and supply out, and they're all suited to a particular type of order. And I'm going to take you through those so that it makes it really easy placing those orders and making the right choice of the right product. So guys, the first one to consider is UltraColour MAX. Now, UltraColour MAX is our transfer that allows you to buy as low as one quantity. Okay, so think about UltraColour MAX, it's our DTF transfer, okay? That's what it looks like from a branding point of view. It is absolutely full color, super fine detail, applicable onto your cottons, polyesters, all your blends, that sort of thing. So there's no restrictions there, okay? And you can see really fine detail. It has the white behind it, full color. So all of those things, no setup charges online. Really good for your sampling, for your small quantity orders, less than 20 units. Okay, if you're doing multiple designs, that sort of thing, or personalization where there's differences in data, all of that really suits UltraColour MAX. So whenever I'm thinking of a design, if a customer walks in the door and they present it down to me, I go to myself, cool, would I be using UltraColour MAX for this? If it's the small quantities, full color design, absolutely that's the number one product. Soon as the quantity of the design starts to be 20 plus, I start to question whether or not UltraColour, this one here, the original UltraColour, the hybrid digital screen printed transfer, is a better choice. And I ask myself the question, why is it a better choice? Well, because it's purely a price thing. From 20 units upwards, UltraColour starts to become more cost effective than the full digital UltraColour MAX, okay? If we print 100 transfers out on UltraColour MAX, it's 100 times longer than printing one transfer, for example. With UltraColour being a screen printed transfer, we all understand screen printing, you get that economy of scale, that speed and efficiency, the cost of the higher the quantity, the price really comes down. That is absolutely true with UltraColour, okay? The benefit of UltraColour though, it's also full color because we have the digital element to it. It's a transfer that goes through two big machines. The first one being your digital full color, and then the second machine it's going through is actually screen printing the layers of white vinyl and then the glue behind it. And guys, this is sort of what the UltraColour transfer looks like. You can sort of see super fine detail like that, okay? So all details very achievable. This one here, so full color, which is not achievable using your screen print sort of process, but it is with the UltraColour. But then you get the pricing advantages of that screen print, okay? Unfortunately though, with anything screen print, doing small quantities just isn't viable. So this particular product is available from 20 units upwards, okay? There might be another reason why you can't use UltraColour MAX and you have to go for UltraColour, is if you want blockers. Now, blockers, we have three blockers, okay? So we have die blocker, right? Okay. Now, die blocker looks like this on the back. So we can see this side of the transfer has been applied with a die blocker, and that's for our polyesters, just straight dyed polyesters. We're not talking sublimated or anything like that. We're talking purely about dyed polyesters, bright reds, blacks, purples, that sort of thing, where we're afraid that if we press a white transfer or a very light transfer onto the dark garment, we might have some of that dye come through and discolor our transfer. If you've ever had that happen before, it's one of those things you go to all the effort of applying the transfer, give it to the customer, it looks great, but then over the coming days and weeks, it discolors the transfer and the customer comes back in going, my white print has now turned a bit pink on their red garment. If that's ever happened to you and you want an insurance policy, you want to make sure that that never happens, okay? Then what you do is you go for your UltraColour transfer, which is the screen printed hybrid transfer, and you get the die blocker, okay? The die blocker, we put another couple of layers of white ink, and then we print the die blocker behind it, which you just saw is that grey sort of colour, charcoal colour, and then the glue, and that is absolutely going to stop any of the dye coming through from the polyester. If you're doing a bit of sportswear or sublimated fabrics, now guys, sublimated fabric, it is actually printed using heat and pressure, okay? If you know the process of sublimation, print onto paper, pushing it through, the dye goes into the polyester. When we apply our transfers onto a sublimated fabric, we're kind of reactivating the original printing process, dyeing process of the sublimated fabric itself. And what happens is that dye wants to come out, the sublimation dye wants to discolor the back of our transfer. So in this particular case, if you're pressing sublimated fabric, we use a sublimation blocker, and you'll see this blocker here is black. Okay, it's much darker, and that's because we're putting 2 layers of it down. We're putting a lot more blocker down for sublimation fabric, because to stop that dye coming out of the sublimation garment, we need to bulk up the transfer, okay? So this is a sublimated transfer, a sublimation blocker transfer, and this would be ideal for all your sublimated fabrics such as sportswear and activewear and things like that. Now guys, the final blocker, our level 3 blocker, which is sort of our strongest of the 3, is our soft shell blocker, okay? Now if I flip this around, guys, you'll notice it's also black. Okay, it is black, it has 2 layers of the blocker on there, but this is it's a special blocker. It's a particular blocker in the way that it's made, and the carbon is ground down even finer so that it creates an even better mesh of blocker to stop the dye coming out of your soft shell fabrics, okay? Now soft shell is your typical jackets, those soft jackets, really nice, feel a bit neoprene-y type sort of thing, soft outer shell. Right, typically in the colors of maroon, black, navy. I know they come out in your high vis, that sort of thing now, but traditionally it's been your navies, your black, that sort of thing. And those dark colors, they absolutely will discolor a transfer if you bond the transfer to the front of that soft shell jacket. Now, if you've ever pressed a transfer onto a soft shell jacket and said, oh, didn't happen to me, the dye from the soft shell jacket actually discolors the transfer, not today, tomorrow, but in a month's time, 3 months' time, 6 months' time. So over the course of the next few months, that's when the actual dispersed dye out of that soft shell fabric will discolor our transfer. It actually starts looking like mold coming through the transfer ink. Starts off as tiny little dots, and those dots start to just grow bigger. So it's different to the way you'll see a traditional dye come from your polyesters and things, where it changes the whole transfer color and just it slightly sort of just gets darker over time, but it's across the whole transfer. Soft shell absolutely comes through looking a bit like mold, and that's what you think it is. It's tiny little dots, and those dots just start to grow. That's what it looks like until it grows and grows until all the dots merge together, and then it takes over the whole transfer. And that takes months for that to happen. So guys, soft shell blocker, it's our third tier, the strongest of the lot. And those blockers are available on our UltraColour range, okay? Cool. Now, we have ScreenPrint PRO as well. Now, this transfer here is very special. It is purely just a screen printed transfer using your traditional plastisol inks. Now, why have we released this one? Well, it's the most economical, most cost-effective transfer for doing your one-color designs. So a lot of people are doing hoodies and t-shirts, tote bags, those sorts of things where they're doing one color, maybe even a 2-color design, and we're doing some high volume printing, right? When we're producing transfers like that, we don't need the full color digital that we get in our UltraColour or UltraColour MAX. What we want is the speed and the cost efficiency of screen printing. Well, that's what we get with the ScreenPrint PRO. So if we're talking 20 sheets, and this is it, it's not individual logos, it's full sheets. Now you could buy one big transfer just like this, or you could have a sheet this size that has 20 or 30 logos on it, or you might put 2 or 3 different designs on there, but what you're buying is the whole sheet, okay? Now, in buying the whole sheet, if you're doing one color, you'll find that a whole sheet like this can be cheaper than a single logo as UltraColour or something like that, okay? So really cost effective. The other reason why ScreenPrint Pro is really cool is because it's got that traditional ScreenPrint feel to it. So it feels a little bit more rubbery on the actual garment, a little bit less transfer-like that we see from our UltraColour MAX, UltraColour, or your DTF transfers that are so commonly out there. This has got that traditional, it's a little bit thicker, sort of got a bit of body to it, a bit of rubberiness to it, that sort of thing. Really pushes into the garment though as well, washes exceptionally well. So guys, if you currently send out to a screen printer high volume sort of work, t-shirts, hoodies, like your natural fabrics and things like that, ScreenPrint Pro is an absolute awesome choice, especially if you're starting to get into the volume and your designs are single color, you know, 2-color sort of designs. As soon as we get up into multiple colors, 3, 4-color designs, that's where the cost starts to come back to your UltraColour as being the absolute best choice for that transfer. Guys, if you have any further questions around when to use which product in your business, reach out to us. But in capping, first off, UltraColour MAX is for 1 unit and upwards, and you get the full color, fine detail that you want from a transfer. As soon as you get to 20 units or above, you're starting to look at UltraColour from a cost point of view. If you need blockers to stop the dye coming through, whether it be a dye blocker, sublimation blocker, or a soft shell, then we're thinking UltraColour is the choice. If you're getting into higher volumes where you could buy 20 sheets and you could gang something up, or you've got multiple logos and they're all 1 color, but we're starting to talk higher volumes and 1-color designs, 2-color designs, that's when ScreenPrint Pro absolutely becomes the most cost-effective solution for you so that you can make the most amount of margin when you're pressing the garment and on-selling to the customer. All of these transfers have great commercial quality that the customer is going to be absolutely happy with. It's about the right transfer, making sure that you make the right margin and the best margin in your business when you're pressing them onto the garment. Thanks guys. Any other questions, reach out to us, more than happy to help.